Daniel Ricciardo may have raced his final Grand Prix in Singapore, a far cry from his ideal retirement plan of ending his career at Red Bull alongside Max Verstappen. Still, the focus is now shifting to the future of the Red Bull racing team, especially since Verstappen's commitment beyond 2025 is uncertain. The big question is, can Liam Lawson secure a permanent spot in Formula One? Liam Lawson, a promising young driver from New Zealand, has been making waves as a reserve driver. It seems he's now ready to move from the sidelines to a full-time racing position. There's been a lot of buzz, particularly from Helmut Marko, who has supported Lawson's rise and believes that the team's future lies with young talent rather than seasoned veterans. However, this vision isn't universally shared. Christian Horner has openly disagreed with Marko's stance. Right now, the big news from Red Bull is that there's a change happening within their driver lineup, as reported earlier by Martin Brundle. He mentioned that although Ricciardo will stay on the team's roster, he won't be driving full-time from the Austin race onwards. Explaining Daniel's situation, team boss Christian Horner acknowledged that despite his 8 race wins, he didn't perform well enough to be considered a full-time replacement for Sergio Perez. If the Australian driver had shown more consistent performance, Perez would have been in a tough spot. Horner added that Daniel was their backup plan in case Perez didn't perform well. While Daniel had a decent season, it wasn't outstanding. The real question now is about Liam's potential, and sometimes tough decisions need to be made to find those answers. It's important to note that Daniel's value to Racing Bulls mainly came from his experience and smart decision making, something that his teammate Yuki Tsunoda highlighted in an interview. The Japanese racer is now under a lot more stress thanks to Lawson, much like Albon is feeling the heat from Colapinto after just a few races. Last year, Lawson managed to score 2 points in only 5 races, finishing ahead of Tsunoda each time. This clearly shows, just as Marko said, that the future belongs to the young talents. When Ricciardo was interviewed after the Singapore Grand Prix, it was obvious from his expression that his future in the sport is uncertain. Reflecting on his career, he mentioned, "I did my best. Although the fairy tale ending didn't come true, I look back proudly on my 13-year journey." While Marko was eager to make the decision public, Horner emphasised that such matters are usually handled within the team's internal discussions. In an unexpected twist, Red Bull's team principal hinted that Russell might be considered for a spot next to Verstappen should the 3-time world champion continue with the team under the new regulations. Here's what he said: "We're planning for the future. We've got Liam Lawson ready to step in, but we're still uncertain. When we compare him to talents like Colapinto, Berman and Antatane, it's hard to say if he's on their level yet. Only time will reveal that. We're also open to looking outside our usual choices. Don't forget, George Russell's contract ends next year." Ignoring that would be a mistake, Daniel Ricciardo really has no reason to feel bad. Just like Max Verstappen said, Verstappen pointed out that many drivers would love to have the kind of career he has had in Formula One, even though it's quite uncertain if Daniel will come back to Formula One due to the new wave of young drivers and limited spots. Verstappen suggested a great plan B. He recommended that Daniel might consider retiring to his farm and taking some time to enjoy life, given his successful run in the sport. Meanwhile, Yuki Tsunoda highlighted the best part about working with the 8-time race winner. See, Tsunoda appreciated his wealth of experience and his calm demeanour. According to Tsunoda, these are qualities he lacks, particularly when it comes to emotional control and staying consistent. Tsunoda admitted that he tends to be more emotional during tough sessions, which sometimes affects the quality of his feedback to the team. He's really steady, and I believe he now gets the car better. He understands more about the situations the car faces. I've learned so much from him, and I keep learning. As for Verstappen, if he wins the championship by just 1 point, he owes a lot to Ricciardo. Why? Because Daniel pitted for the fastest lap towards the end of some races. This move secured Verstappen's championship, even if Norris wins every remaining race in 2024 and Verstappen finishes second in all of them. With 6 races and 3 sprint events left, there are still many points to be had. Norris winning every race isn't a sure thing, especially with McLaren's questionable strategies and Ferrari and Red Bull planning to use the flexible front wing in Austin. Verstappen and the RB20 should be more competitive than they were in the past couple of races. However, Ricciardo taking the fastest lap from Norris was seen as unsportsmanlike by many, casting a shadow over Red Bull's tactics. Here's where the issue comes in for a lot of people. The Austrian team basically has 4 cars on the track. This means if things aren't going well for Verstappen, they can use up to 3 other cars to help him achieve his goals. Many point fingers at Mercedes for doing something similar in the past by treating the teams they supplied engines to as their own. But actually owning 2 teams and having 4 cars in the race, that's something only Red Bull is doing right now. Because of this, Zak Brown has raised some eyebrows. He's questioning this controversial tactic, especially as it could be a game changer in Lando Norris's quest for the championship. Brown was clearly upset, wondering how such a move can be deemed legal when two top contenders are battling it out for the title. Not too long ago, the McLaren boss had a lot to say about Red Bull owning two teams and how this might damage the sport's fairness. Many Formula One fans usually don't back Brown's views on Red Bull, since he often speaks with a lot of emotion, especially after things like the budget cap issue last year and his not so friendly relationship with Horner. However, this time having 4 Red Bull cars on the track might have really influenced the championship battle between Norris and Verstappen. We could look back at races like Hungary, where McLaren cost Norris 7 points, or other tracks like Canada, Spain and Silverstone, where the MCL38's performance combined with team strategies cost Norris significant points. Not to mention the incident in Austria where Norris had to retire after a crash while Verstappen managed to finish 5th. Despite all this, the championship has become very exciting and it looks like it will be a tough fight until the end. The MCL38's DRS flap might not flap as much as it did in Baku from Las Vegas, but in the next 3 races, the car's performance should stay consistent. The team now needs to make sure that Piastri is more involved, because it's not good to have one driver winning by nearly half a minute while the other struggles due to poor qualifying in Q3. With all this in mind, do you think Brown has a point in disagreeing with what Red Bull did with Daniel Ricciardo? Furthermore, do you believe Liam Lawson is the perfect fit for the Racing Bulls for the rest of 2024 and into 2025? Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. See you in the next video.